Hey guys, Brandon here. Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally votes against his oath of office. No surprise there. Yet the bill limiting the governor's draconian emergency powers passes in Senate despite three Republicans voting for educating illegal aliens in Tennessee at your expense. I'll get to their names here momentarily. The preventative bill passes the Senate committee. Grassroots rout the establishment 2-1 or better in Hamilton County GOP. Hamilton County Sheriff seeks jail enforcement model partner with ICE. Conservative candidates make clean sweep in Williamson County GOP reorganization. And finally, dum 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 dum, House Committee 2 here. Bill preventing illegal immigrants and convicted felons from voting. I lied, there's one more story. 2 bills preventing Tennessee taxpayer-funded education for illegal immigrants scheduled for the House next week. So we're going to have to watch those. Brandon Lewis here with the 10-Con Big 7. We're bringing you the 7 big news stories that the corporate media that leans left, I mean, if you saw them walking down the street, they would almost be touching the ground to the left, be very wobbly. They're never going to bring you these stories from this perspective. All this perspective that they would bring is that any conservative legislation is evil, as are the people who support it or carry it. But here at the Tennessee Conservative, we support the mainstream views of your average GOP primary voter. We've only been convinced by liberals and rhinos that they are extreme. Before we get into anything else, please do go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com, hit that subscribe button, or you can text the word news, N-E-W-S, to 423-205-5600 and follow us. Click the follow button, the subscribe button, wherever you get this podcast, and X, Getter, Gab, Truth, Me, We Rumble. We are everywhere. 2 conservatives are gathered. We are like the Holy Spirit for conservatives in Tennessee. Before we get into anything else, let's get into the mailbag. And I want to thank all of you. You had my pleadings about us being down 33%. I think we're only down about 6 or 7% now. So we're almost back to zero. But our expenses are still up. So we really need to probably get up about 10 or 12% to be at break even compared to last year. And people have been sending in donations to P.O. Box 625, Signal Mountain, Tennessee 37377, often with these kinds of notes. Linda says, I won't be able to do this every month. Very generous donation. And I'm quite elderly, but I will help for now. Linda. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate you very, very much. There's another one here. Brandon, hope this contribution will help building a house here in Cumberland. I don't know if I want to put on the rest of this. And my husband's back problems, which sends us too many alternatives, methods in order to avoid surgery, gives me little extra money at the time. Interesting. You got 2 people who are not uber wealthy, and they're like, you know what? I don't want to see my state go in the wrong situation. Many of you obviously have more than these ladies do, so I wish you would chip in if you haven't. TennesseeConservativeNews.com/support. And then finally, I get these wonderful cards, and it says, thank you for keeping us informed through the Tennessee Conservative Jeannie. What a great supporter. On with the show. Here we go. Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally votes against his own oath of office, but the bill limiting the governor's emergency powers passes in the Senate, a bill that would protect the constitutional rights of Tennesseans by prohibiting the governor from suspending any part of the Tennessee Constitution in the issuance of an emergency order or rule passed in the Senate 27-2 on a Thursday morning vote. This bill would ensure that citizens' constitutional rights are upheld and protected during states of emergency. Bill Lee manufactured this fake, fraudulent, phony BS state of emergency to take away constitutional rights. Randy McNally, Cameron Sexton, and everyone in Republican leadership absolutely let it happen instead of actually standing up as a separate branch of government. We all lived through it. We all know it. And Senator Pody on the Senate floor said, quote, every 2 years when we come in, we swear an oath to uphold the Constitution. This bill is going to say that under no circumstances can anyone suspend our Constitution. I brought this just to clarify that our governor, whoever it may be, cannot suspend laws. Here's who voted against it. Randy McNally. No wonder we lived through that hell. This elderly corpse needs to be jettisoned. This should be the last time he wobbles his liberal rhino butt into the seat. I can't believe this is what the Senate puts together. the leader at the top will not protect your constitutional rights. And you wonder why things don't get through the Senate. You wonder why illegal immigration can't get addressed at the root level. I'm telling you, it is a rot at the top. And he was in good company with Democrat Senator Heidi Campbell. So one Democrat, one rhino, basically a Democrat with an R by his name. Who'd have thought it? Next story. Just about 3 Republicans voting for educating illegal aliens at taxpayer expense preventative bill passes. Now you have heard me talk about this. Basically, there's a bill that says the following. If you are going to enroll in a government school in Tennessee at taxpayer expense, you have to provide proof of documentation that you are here legally. Common sense, right? Of course, there were huge protests, humanitarian outcries. They're trying to shame Bo Watson and William Lambert, and in this case, they have no shame. There are other things over their their voting record representing conservative primary voters, GOP primary voters in general, that they could probably take some shame for, like William Lambert bringing the bill to make illegal aliens police officers. So this is a 180 for him, and it's the first time I've seen Bo get aggressive on this issue. I'm very supportive of it. I told him that in person at the HC GOP convention. I'm still going to take issue with his wife being a lobbyist. I think it's a huge conflict of interest. It's not personal, it's just policy. And it also says that the LEA, which means the school board, can say, hey, we're not taking illegal aliens at our expense. If you want to come into the school, that's fine. That's fine. But you're going to have to pay tuition that is equal to the funding that we would have to outlay for your child to be educated here. Makes perfectly good sense. Now, they weakened it with an amendment that would say someone can appeal to the Tennessee Department of Education. And if it's anything like the 3rd grade retention law that allowed them to appeal when they failed basic reading tests to be shuffled into the 4th grade illiterate, these escape hatches they put on here really don't make these bills have a whole lot of teeth. But this is still a step in the right direction. Hopefully that could be amended in later legislative sessions so that there is not an escape hatch. And so the tuition would also have to be paid in full before these illegal aliens could come into school. I frankly don't think we should allow it at all. This surprised me. Okay, so Republican Senators Rusty Crowe, Joey Hensley, Adam Lowe, Bill Powers, and Don White voted in favor of the legislation. Some of these guys are not very conservative, except for Rusty Crowe and Joey Hensley. Like Adam Lowe, he'll go both ways. Bill Powers, both ways. Don White, both ways. And then Democrat Senator Ramesh Akbari, alongside Senator Farrell Hale, who's a huge rhino, massively large rhino, probably one of the biggest in the Senate, maybe right below Randy McNally. But this one surprised me. Mark Pody and Kerry Roberts. Not Kerry Roberts, but Mark Pody surprised me. Mark Pody's been very conservative on the illegal immigration issue. I'm not sure why he voted against it. I text messaged him for a comment so we can include it in this article. I never heard from him. I think we reached out to Kerry Roberts as well. And if I'm not mistaken, Roberts has already been raked over the coals for his pro-illegal immigration votes in the past. So why he would do this again, I have no idea. But Mark was a big surprise because I would consider him to be very conservative. So I have no idea why he voted the wrong way on this, at least how I feel, the wrong way. And I think GOP primary voters, because every time we survey y'all and ask, should illegal aliens receive taxpayer-funded education at your expense, it's like 95 to 97% say no, 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 no. But it's a struggle to get it out of the governing bodies because they do not want to represent your views. They just don't. They want to represent the corporate interest. Next story, Grassroots establishment is defeated. No, the Grassroots establishment. Grassroots, rather, rout the establishment 2-1 in Hamilton County GOP convention. Many of you came out for that. I just want to say thank you. It was a big deal to go up against what I could see in the audience. Just about every elected official in Hamilton County said, we don't want the Grassroots to take over. We want the people that were handpicked in a backroom deal in Zach Watt's office to be selected. And I don't understand when these folks that are in elected office in Hamilton County, Tennessee, can't see the writing on the wall, that if you continually and constantly push back against the Grassroots, try to push them out and try to have your own little cabal, that when it comes time for you to run for re-election in the primaries, that might be to your disadvantage. I mean, if I just as a political consultant who doesn't have a dog in the hunt, like if I could just step back a couple of steps, I go, I don't think this is going to work out very well. But it was awesome. We had a delegated convention. I think we're one of only 3 GOPs in the state that do this, which takes 6 freaking hours. We didn't get out of there until almost 5 o'clock. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. No concern for people's time. No concern for people's family or having to work or anything. No, the elitists thought that it would help their case, but it didn't. They got beat 2-1 or better all the way down the board. Gail Green won the chairmanship. Very awesome lady, heavily involved in Michelle Renault's campaign, and Lowry over the civics and culture in my church. Kimberly Fiorello used to be a state rep in, I believe, Connecticut. Dan Meehan, who I've learned a lot about. Tanya Miller, who's a heck of a worker and steadfast, solid conservative. And they beat folks that, meh. The fellow that they picked to run against Gail with the establishment is in typical form a former 40-year Democrat who's 80 years old. That sounds about right. Next story, Hamilton County Sheriff seeks jail enforcement model partnership with ICE. I talked to Austin Garrett at the Hamilton County Republican Party convention. I think we're going to have an interview with him on this on the 17th in the morning. And basically, they are getting involved in a program that allows them to work with ICE so that when someone gets detained and they are undocumented, that they can then be handed off to ICE. That's the short version. They're on the wait list to be approved. There are 4 other programs. I'm hoping when Mr. Garrett comes on that we can explore those programs, what it means, and maybe you can encourage your sheriff to go do this as well, because we need state and local government working in tandem with the feds. We could have fixed all this 4 years ago in Tennessee. We could have said, heck no, but we have such weak Republican leadership that we have to just take what we can get, okay? And this is awesome. And the thing that is most awesome about this, in my opinion, is, to my knowledge, there weren't a bunch of people that showed up to Austin Garrett's office to protest and say, we want this done. He didn't have to get ridiculed and lambasted and have rallies to get his attention. He's like, you know what? I think GOP primary voters don't want illegal aliens running rampant in Hamilton County. So I'm going to do something proactively without being nagged at. Cameron Sexton, Randy McNally, Bill Lee, take some tips from Austin Garrett. Do it before people complain and kick you out of office instead of after. Conservative candidates make clean sweep in Williamson County GOP. This is awesome because the establishment spent somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000 trying to hang on to this seat. Jack Johnson is shaking in his boots, afraid, just to be honest, that Gary Humble is going to come back, and I think he'd come back stronger than ever, and I think he's learned some lessons from his previous campaign, and I think he'd just mop the floor with Jack personally. And further, old Jack, brings his rhino buddy Bill Lee down there to try to influence people. Well, apparently it didn't carry a lot of influence because they lost again. And I heard that Captain Cheeto himself, Aaron Goldbergson, was down there, which, I don't understand why people in the establishment continue to spend money with people that have losing records, that aren't creative, that can't change things. I mean, they're just throwing other people's money down the toilet. And what we have heard is that all these PACs that Jack allegedly spun up and went and begged people for money, they didn't even know what it was going to. And once they found out that it was against grassroots conservatives, a lot of them had misgivings. I don't think it was represented well to the donors. And hopefully next time Jack Johnson goes to them with his grubby handout, they'll say, no, wait a minute. You lied to me before, misrepresented this. I don't know if I want to go through that again. So the opposition, all that money that they spent basically produced the exact same result as years prior. So, good thing in Williamson County. So we're seeing people, they're taking over their local GOPs. They're tired of the establishment bless me club that most Republican parties have turned into. Let's all sit around in a room and let's clap like seals for politicians and never hold them accountable to the platform. And you might as well just be a groupie. Be a fan club. You could make a fan club. You could make a politician's fan club, and that would be great. But that is not what a local Republican Party is supposed to do. And so hopefully, as more conservatives get involved at the local level, we'll have better things. Guys, I just want to say thank you for sending in your support. Got the computer back here, and we dropped some mail, and I'm just seeing donations come in from folks. I had a guy at the convention say, and I've heard this before, well, you finally guilted me into giving. Well, why do I have to guilt you into giving? If you're on this subscriber list, if you listen to this podcast and you've never given, maybe you lose sleep tonight. I mean it. Conservatives have to get engaged with their time and their treasure if they're really going to be conservatives, because conservatism is something you do. If it doesn't cost you something, if you get it for free, it's probably not conservatism. If it costs you something, it's conservatism in action. So please do go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com/support. Hit that donate button, and when you do, if you give $50 or more or a recurring donation of $10 or more, we will send you a proud Tennessee conservative tumbler. I actually saw some of those at the HC GOP convention this weekend, which was fun to see. And we will send you a couple of bumper stickers, my heartfelt thanks, and a directory of your state senators and your state reps so that you can get in touch with them when they decide to vote like rhinos, or if you want to encourage them to pass conservative legislation. You can also mail your checks to P.O. Box 625, Signal Mountain, Tennessee 37377. That is P.O. Box 625, Signal Mountain, Tennessee 37377. Two bills preventing taxpayer-funded education for illegal immigrants scheduled next week in the House. Both House Bill 793, sponsored by Representative William Lambert, and 746, sponsored by Representative Monty Fritz, will be heard Tuesday, March 11th. Boy, that's coming up quick. Lambert's bill will give public school districts the option to charge tuition if they cannot prove that they're here legally in the country. That's the student. HB 793 becomes law. You know the deal. We've already covered this story. Fritz's bill is similar. It requires, quote, a parent or guardian who wishes to enroll the parent or guardian student into an LEA or charter school to submit one of the listed documents to the LEA or public charter school upon enrollment, or the guardian must pay an equal amount to the amount representing the per pupil state and local funds generated required through the Tennessee Investment in Student Achievement Formula for the LEA. So it's moving through the House. Like I have said before, typically the House is more conservative and easier to get things through than the Senate. Why? Because the Senate has Randy McNally at the top of it, and he is one of the least conservative people up there. As you saw, like he wants Bill Lee to once again stomp on your constitutional rights. Amazing. The guy's has to have some kind of, just run as a Democrat. If you're going to vote with the Democrats, McNally, just run as a Democrat. Be proud of it. Don't be fake. Don't lie about it. Just put it out there. Final story. House committee to hear a bill preventing illegal immigrants and convicted felons from registering to vote in Tennessee. House Bill 69, aimed at establishing major safeguards to strengthen election integrity in Tennessee, will be heard in the Campaign Finance Committee on Tuesday of the 11th. Legislation is sponsored by William Lambert and Jack Johnson, so that means it'll probably pass. And it will require the Secretary of State to work with local election officials to create a secure electronic portal for county election administrators to verify U.S. citizenship. Requires the coordinator of elections in collaboration with the TBI to create a similar portal to verify if someone is ineligible due to a felony conviction. And finally, it requires visual distinction, such as a color or a font face on a photo license in Tennessee to differentiate the class designated for the purpose of voting. I think it's a great idea. So it's amazing that if we put pressure on Republicans, and if they're afraid they'll lose their primaries because they've got bad voting records, all of a sudden they magically start bringing out conservative legislation because they got to put something on the postcard, right? And they have figured out, as Hazelwood figured out here in my backyard, that putting lies on the postcard will fool a lot of people. It really will. It'll fool a lot of people, a lot of low information folks out there. They don't have the Tennessee Conservative News. They don't keep up with Tennessee stands. They don't pay attention to various conservative groups that are issue specific in Tennessee. And so they just assume whatever they get in the post office is the gospel. And it's amazing how many people that are in Republican clubs and organizations, if an elected official stands up and says, I didn't, they all think that that's the gospel. As long as they told me they didn't, I know them personally. They don't check the voting record. But there comes a point when if somebody's out there effectively telling the truth about your record, that even if you spend a metric ton of money, 20-1, or in the case of Jack Johnson trying to take over the Williamson County Republican Party, 10, 20 to 1, whatever it is, you just lose anyway, because the truth has a way of going further faster for the few folks that are engaged enough to seek it. So thank you all, guys, for helping me here at the Tennessee Conservative. I was talking to Charles Cook. We did a podcast last night, I believe. And I'm so glad he does what he does. And, we were talking about how liberal the corporate media is. And I said, well, of course, it's like they force 15,000 vaccines on you. And then the next TV commercials brought to you by Pfizer, they tell you great glowing things about millionaires and billionaires getting corporate welfare for these stadiums. And then the next thing you know, they're advertising Titans preseason tickets. I mean, it's very easy to see why these folks, only 4% or so of which identify as Republicans, that are journalists who also get corporate money that pays their bills. But no wonder you can't get the truth. I mean, you can't, because with shekels come shackles, and the money dictates your editorial content. But thanks to you, because I have grassroots support, I can tell the truth. All I have to do is just be an echo chamber for your average GOP primary voter, which is far more conservative than GOP leadership. And that's what makes us extreme, right? What's extreme is the extreme to the left of leadership in Tennessee. That's what's extreme. So what's going on this weekend, guys? I am about to beat feet. We're going to stay with some friends tonight that have a residence at the Macklemore Golf Resort up on Lookout Mountain, folks that I've known for, 15, 20 years now. And so we're going to go visit them. We're going off Signal Mountain, down into Chattanooga, and then back up on Lookout Mountain. So it's about an hour and 15 minutes from here. So we're going to go there. And then we're going to go celebrate Julie's birthday, Aunt Julie in Knoxville, the next day. And so we're going to get on the road, pick up the kiddos who are now in Cleveland, Tennessee, with Kiki and Pawpaw. And we're going to drag them up there, have a big family fiasco at a local restaurant in the Turkey Creek area. And then we're going to jettison ourselves back toward Signal Mountain. And hopefully I can spend all day Sunday at home. Although, since we're missing church on Saturday night, it is likely that I will go to one of the church services. I'm hoping the 9 a.m., but we never quite seem to be able to make it. We are 11 a.m. people if we got to go on Sunday. And that's okay, too. Guys, I appreciate all of you. Keep an eye on these bills. Burn the phones up. Burn the emails up. Text these people if you know them personally and say, hey, listen, we got bills coming down the pike. You're on the committee. We need you to get it across the finish line. We've been begging, especially on these illegal immigration prevention bills, begging for 4.5 years, and it has all fallen on deaf ears. It is time that we stand up, that we reclaim the borders of Tennessee, just as Trump is reclaiming the borders of our nation. Brandon Lewis here with the 10Con Big 7. I love you. Mean it. Hope you have a great weekend. I'll talk to you next week right here on the Tennessee Conservative News. Take care.